All right, let's talk about the Dream Act. Again, another piece of legislation delayed in the Senate, Susan.
Right. Senate Democrats brought this up. They couldn't get enough votes to move on to debate it.
Let's explain what it is.
Well, the Dream Act would provide a path to legal status for people who were children when they were brought to this country illegally and who have gone to college, have served in the military. It gives them a process to become legal in this country. It's criticized by opponents as a form of amnesty. It's supported by advocates as the right thing to do for people who grew up here and view themselves as Americans.
And what's going to happen to it?
Well, the House passed it, and now the Senate had already scheduled a cloture vote to move ahead on its own version of the Dream Act. But the House went ahead and approved its version, and so Harry Reid tried to call off that vote yesterday. Republicans insisted on holding the vote, so he just held a vote to table that motion. They want to take the House bill, pass it in the Senate, and at that point, it will be enacted. It can go right to President Obama's desk. Whether that's going to happen, who knows?
Now, opponents argue that this is the camel's nose under the under the tent, that, in fact, what you really need is a package of immigration reform, a big package, and that this is just one step. John?
I agree. That is what the Republicans want, and I think this is one that's not going to make it in the lame duck. I don't think they've got the votes to break a Republican filibuster on this. I think this is going to be on the table over the next 2 years. I don't know whether or not you can get a comprehensive immigration deal in this Congress, because Republicans and the president are pretty far apart on the primacy of enforcement as compared to a path to citizenship. Don't think they can do it in this lame duck.
John Harwood, Chief Washington Correspondent for CNBC and a reporter for the New York Times. You're listening to the Diane Rehm Show. And there's a Supreme Court Arizona immigration law that is currently under consideration. What's this case about, Susan?
Now, this is not the famous Arizona law that has been so controversial that would allow or require law enforcement officials to check on the legal status of people they encounter if they suspect they're here illegally. This is a different law that Arizona passed that would revoke the business license of companies that knowingly hire illegal aliens. So it's another way to try to, and that is a very tough measure for a company, because if you lose your business license, of course you can't operate in the state. The argument is that it conflicts with the immigration law, the federal law that was passed in 1986 that laid out ground rules across the country, and it said that states can't pass their own rules. These federal rules are the rules that have to apply.
And doesn't this also involve, if you're a business, if you're a company doing business in Arizona and you own another company doing business in another state, that would also be affected? Am I wrong?
I don't know
no
that.
Answer.
No.
Okay, David.
It could cross state lines, yes. I mean, typically it's been a fine of $500 or so for hiring people who are undocumented. In many ways, this is like stripping a doctor of his license to practice.
Anywhere.
Well, in Arizona, if the doctor happens to be there, but some of these companies do have franchises and branches elsewhere, and if they lose their license, especially if they're based in Arizona, that would have a big impact on the other operations.
Now, based on the way the arguments went in the Supreme Court, I think court watchers think this law is likely to be upheld, because you need to get the lower court upheld it. You need to get 5 justices to knock it down. The court watchers say, based on the questions that were asked and so on, the predilections of the justices, that this law may well stand.